During the Second World War, food stopped being a matter of taste and became a matter of survival. Governments did not have the luxury of pleasing appetites. They needed calories that worked, nutrients that sustained, and systems that could quietly prevent mass illness without drawing attention or consuming scarce medical resources. Bread, the most common food in Europe, became one of the most important tools in that effort. What emerged was a dense, dark, whole-grain wartime bread that reduced malnutrition, stabilized energy, and prevented deficiency diseases across entire populations. It was not celebrated, it did not come with slogans, and when the war ended, it disappeared almost overnight. The real question is not what that bread was, but why it worked so well, and why its success was quietly buried. Why wartime governments treated bread as a medical intervention. By the late 1930s, nutrition science had already reached an uncomfortable conclusion. Refined white flour, stripped of bran and germ, produced bread that filled stomachs but weakened bodies. Populations dependent on it showed higher rates of digestive disorders, nerve damage, fatigue, and immune decline. When war disrupted food imports and rationing tightened, those weaknesses became dangerous liabilities. In Britain, Germany, Scandinavia, and occupied Europe, nutritionists pushed governments toward wholemeal flour not as a moral choice, but as a strategic one. Bread was eaten daily by nearly everyone. If nutrients could be restored to bread, deficiencies could be prevented at population scale without pills, supplements, or complex distribution systems. The loaf became a delivery mechanism for fibre, B vitamins, minerals, and essential oils that industrial milling had removed. This was policy, not nostalgia. How whole-grain bread quietly reduced disease without medicine. The most immediate impact of wartime bread was on digestive health. When populations shifted from white bread to coarse whole-grain loaves, fibre intake rose sharply. Constipation declined. Intestinal inflammation decreased. Secondary infections tied to poor gut health became less common. Though the term microbiome did not yet exist, its effects were unmistakable. More critically, vitamin B deficiencies dropped. Thiamine, niacin, riboflavin, and folate remained intact in wholemeal flour, while refined flour required later fortification to replace what had been removed. Wartime health records showed fewer cases of nerve disorders, improved stamina among factory workers, and greater resistance to fatigue under physical stress. Bread did this quietly, daily, without calling attention to itself. Why fermentation mattered more than most people realize. Another overlooked factor was fermentation. Most wartime breads were not rushed with industrial yeast. They were slow fermented, often using sourdough cultures or long rests. This mattered enormously. Extended fermentation breaks down phytic acid, a compound that blocks mineral absorption. Iron, zinc, and magnesium became more bioavailable at a time when meat was scarce and fresh produce unreliable. This turned bread into something closer to a nutrient amplifier. Calories alone do not sustain health. Absorption does. Modern bakers can replicate this by fermenting whole-grain doughs for, 12 to 24 hours, allowing enzymes and bacteria to do the work that industrial shortcuts usually bypass. How rationing unintentionally created better eating habits. Rationing removed sugar, excess fats, and refined flour from everyday bread. Bakers were forced to work with simple ingredients and longer processes. The resulting loaves were denser, darker, and more filling. People ate less bread by volume, but gained more nutrition per slice. Blood sugar spikes were reduced. Hunger returned more slowly. Energy levels stabilized. This has direct relevance for survival planning. Foods that satisfy quickly and nourish deeply reduce consumption pressure during shortages. Whole grain, slow-fermented bread does exactly that. It stretches rations without weakening the body. So, why did this bread vanish after the war? Well, when peace returned, folks craved softness, whiteness, and, speed. Industrial milling stepped right back in. White bread became this symbol of prosperity, cleanliness, and, modern life. That dense wartime loaf. It was suddenly seen as backward, poor, and honestly undesirable. Convenience took the place of resilience. Shelf life, well, it replaced nutrition. Public health, it paid the price quietly. Digestive disorders, metabolic disease, and nutrient deficiencies, they all rose in the decades that followed. But instead of real food reform, the answer was supplements and pharmaceuticals. The bread that had once prevented problems was replaced by products designed to sell, not to sustain. So, how can this bread be revived today without, having to dress up or reenact the past? Reviving wartime bread doesn't require any sort of historical cosplay. What it does require is intention. You want whole wheat or rye flour, ideally milled close to baking time, just a handful of ingredients, a long fermentation, and, slower baking temperatures. If you're thinking about preparedness, this bread stores better, pairs well with preserved foods, and honestly, it delivers steady energy when you're under stress. It's adaptable, resilient, and, let's not forget, nutritionally dense. These are exactly the qualities that wartime planners valued most. Now, why does this lesson matter today? This isn't about romanticizing hardship, not at all. It's about recognizing that necessity once forced entire societies to respect biology rather than ignore it. Wartime bread really worked because it was in line with human digestion instead of fighting against it. In an era of supply instability and, declining food quality, this forgotten loaf isn't just a curiosity, it's actually a blueprint. So, if serious history and practical survival knowledge matter to you, go ahead and subscribe to the Wartime Frontlines. Share this video and help keep the lessons of the past alive while they're still useful.